We do need to go live back to Canberra. We're listening now to marriage equality advocate Alex Greenwich.
It says the government does not want to do their job, which is to vote through laws. Yet again, they have proposed their concept of a plebiscite. This is a failed policy. They have also discussed the postal plebiscite, which is a flawed policy. The only way we can achieve marriage equality in this parliament is through a vote in the parliament, a majority in both houses. There will be disappointment felt from coast to coast tonight in Australia as the government has yet again decided to delay, drag on and disappoint people with their decision today. They had the opportunity to resolve this matter through a vote in Parliament and they said no. They said we're going to drag this out. Now the numbers for the plebiscite in the Senate are not changing. The Greens, Labor and crossbenchers will still be opposing. We will now likely have another debate on a plebiscite where the nation will be reminded why this was such a bad idea. Indeed, they will also be reminded why any plebiscite is a terrible idea. We would also like to particularly thank those MPs who tried to resolve the matter for the government. Dean Smith and others with Dean Smith with his legislation, and indeed the other MPs, Warren Entsch, Trevor Evans, Trent Zimmerman and Tim Wilson. Strong advocates for marriage equality and strong advocates for a country that truly values fairness and equality. We know that the numbers for a free vote in the government will continue to increase. We know that the support in the parliament will continue to increase, and we will be redoubling our efforts to achieve a parliamentary vote in this term of government. This can happen as soon as the government wakes up to itself and realises the only way you make laws is by passing parliament.
Thank you. My name's Anna Brown. I'm co-chair of the Equality Campaign and Director of Legal Advocacy at the Human Rights Law Centre. Well, today the government has broken the hearts of gay and lesbian people across Australia. We have before us a failed policy, a policy that failed last year, a policy that will fail again when the government tries to pass this legislation through the Senate and then embarks upon a course that will end in a High Court challenge. What we have is a proposal that is not only more legally risky than a legislative plebiscite, but carries with it risks around privacy and reliability of the process. It's geared towards favouring the results that will increase the votes of older Australians, but to the detriment of people that don't know what a postal service is. We don't know what the details are yet, and I think we need to wait and see and hope that somehow the government might be able to retrieve some semblance of a proposal from the Joint Party Room tomorrow, but I think it's looking dire. And we're ready with a legal action if the government embarks upon a postal plebiscite, because we're very concerned that taxpayer dollars could be spent on a process that's fundamentally flawed from a legal perspective, but is also fundamentally unnecessary from a political perspective. And I want to talk a bit about the bill that we have before us, a bill that presents an unprecedented opportunity to achieve marriage equality with majority support across the parliament. And that's because it's a bill that represented rigorous and comprehensive consideration of this issue earlier this year by a committee made up of Liberal members, of National members and Xenophon and the Greens and Labor. And what we had out of that inquiry was a consensus on the pathway forward for marriage equality. And this bill, presented by Senator Smith to the Australian people and potentially to the Parliament this week, represents a balancing of the competing interests at stake and is the strongest bill ever to be put before Parliament. It delivers equality for same-sex couples whilst allowing religious communities to celebrate religious marriage. It should be supported by the Parliament. It's certainly already supported by our campaign, and I think it would enjoy the support of the majority of Australians who simply want to see this issue dealt with. and because it's an issue that matters to real people in the community. It's an issue of dignity and fairness, and something that should be resolved sooner rather than delayed and delayed and delayed. So we call on the government to work with the Parliament and just get on with their job.
Tiernan Brady from the Equality Campaign. Again, I suppose we shouldn't lose sight of what this is really about. Despite all the politics and drama of today, this is about real people, members of our family and our friends and our neighbours and our work colleagues who today have watched as politics trumped their dignity once again. They watched as they were considered to be sacrificial lambs for the case of political stability. And they'll have watched in exasperation as well. But we should be clear about this. The reason we are talking about this today is because of them. It's because the energy that they have brought over the last 6 months, as they proved to this government that we will not go away, that we will not quietly wait for our dignity to come in 10 years or 15 years. They have put this back on the agenda, and they have proved to everyone that it will not leave the agenda. And if anyone thinks this decision today is going to change that, they couldn't be more wrong. There's not a pup's chance that the people of Australia are going to walk away from making sure there is dignity from their family and for their family and friends who just happen to be lesbian and gay and just want to get on with their life, as they watched a government say that it either felt like it didn't care or was incapable of representing the people who elected it. We're not going anywhere. And the momentum that has been built over the last few months to get us here is only going to grow and will continue to grow until we have equal dignity.